Well, you know what? Now that I'm actually thinking about it out loud, I actually need to finish the script for this character's story. That's something else I have to think about. Well, good afternoon, good morning, and good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to another video on the channel. If you're new here, please feel free to like, subscribe, and share. Please subscribe to the channel, like the video, and share this with someone else you think might like it and all that good stuff. With that being said, welcome once again, because I think I said that twice. This is actually the third portrait that I have done for this character. This character's name is Gwen, or Gwendolyn, because full names and stuff like that I like. We actually saw the first portrait I did back in September, actually, technically August, because I didn't have it ready in August. But anyway, and the second portrait I did was for my birthday. I never recorded that or posted it anywhere. I just wanted to do one like that for myself. It was just a birthday present to myself because I wanted to be alone on my birthday. But yeah, that's kind of it for this one. We are just in the inking stage, and I wanted to do something very different with this one's effects. I wasn't too sure what I wanted to do at first in the beginning, but then as I continued to keep inking, as well as even in the initial pencil sketch when I sketched it out in it was actually September. That feels like so long ago now. But with the initial pencil sketch, I wanted to have some more flair, hence the name that I gave this video. Because of that, I ended up working not backwards. I worked forward. So I started from the background, then I worked forward to the foreground paint. That is very hard to explain now. Basically, I had to paint under some stuff in order to paint over some stuff. You'll be able to see that in about 5 minutes or so, but oh, never mind now. So as we get on to the painting session, Gwen's skin tone is very hard to match. I actually get it on the third try here. I cut out a couple of other errors, but you saw one in the very beginning. As I was doing that, I just wanted to make sure her skin was accurate, because it's not too dark, but it is just a little bit darker than peach, like I originally made her, and then I kept adding on to her backstory, and it made more sense to have her in a certain give her a certain tone, which I ended up doing. So again, third attempt though, and it was fun. And as I continued to add the darker areas and balance it out, I realized that I used a lot of wet on wet techniques here, and usually that's fine, but in my head I think I should have not done that, because I actually had to dry it off with a sponge like you just saw earlier, and are going to be seeing a couple of times. I was finally actually able to use a sponge in my watercolors after I developed my own watercolor field kit. I just made it out of a old Bluetooth speaker that I never really used. Now that I realize it, I never used it, and this is the only time it actually makes sense to use. But yeah, that's what this painting palette is attached to. And now we're just adding in the purple of the lips, as well as the eyes. Gwen's eyes should actually be blue in this case, because her eyes are going to be glowing blue, but I ended up keeping the purple because her natural eye color is going to be purple. Now I have regrets. I should have colored it blue. But anyway, as we go on, I just added on a bit of cerulean blue to give that bright light blue that I wanted to use for her. Using that compared to the ultramarine made it a lot easier to paint in between and inside of as well. And because I did that, it helped a lot with what comes next. And I don't want to spoil it, but I'm going to end up doing that anyway. Oh yeah, I had to color her button. well, not button, it's a, what is that? It is a pendant, the thing that holds her cape together, basically. Now I have no idea what actually to call that. I'm gonna need to figure that out. But anyway, here I am just adding some darker shadows to the suit, as well as her hands and all that good stuff. I actually shouldn't have added the orange the way I did on the hand and on the skin. I tried to wipe it off the best I could, but in the end you might actually still be able to see a little bit more of that than I prefer. But it turned out a lot better than I thought, so I didn't really want to mess with it too much. The one thing that I do wish I could go back and redo was the ink wash that I did earlier. It was kind of unnecessary the way that I ended up painting, and it just made the hand a little too dark compared to the lighting that I had. I had two sources of lighting, technically, the glowing eyes that you see now, and then her hair, which again does not work properly. But in the end, I actually really liked how it worked by accident. And as Bob Ross always says, happy accidents. So I started to lean in to that notion here, and I decided to give her the Flair that she actually ends up getting, basically. And she looks a lot more like a Super Saiyan every time I think about it, which makes me laugh. But this actually looks more like a crown to me. When I first had this idea, I cannot talk. When I first had this idea, I wanted to use it as a crown, but that didn't work the way I wanted it to, so I just kept layering up the paint. And now that we are done with the paint mostly, we're just going to add in the black background, which was supposed to be just a bit of a space background. But because I just like splotching ink everywhere, I didn't really get a spacey type of background the way I wanted it to when I thought of it. But the way I did it, as well as filling in some of the gaps, especially right now with my brush pen, doing that helped just a lot more in the future, a lot more than I thought it would have. And for future reference, I think I need to do it like this a little bit more. The one thing that I could not do that would have risked destroying the painting in total was to paint over it with some color to fill in those white areas of the ink. If I had done that, the ink would have ran a lot more than it did now, because you can, even if you were to rewind it now, you can still see how it runs itself. It's not something I want to deal with, because working with Indie ink for 3 years has taught me that you don't want to work with runny Indie ink because of the fact that it is so dark, and if it gets on anything, it does not come off. That was a mouthful. But yeah, we're starting to wrap up now, and you see that my signature, artiste signature, and all that good stuff. And so here is the pencil sketch. Again, I liked it. There wasn't much there wasn't much headspace. I mean, there was a lot of headroom that I didn't want to use just yet. So even in the inking stage, I left the headspace very much clear, but I did add on more to the eyes, so I did like it. And here is the finished piece. It's a lot more messy, more or less, when you see it like this, but in the end, I still liked it, and I really appreciated it, and I hope you all did appreciate the whole process of this painting as well. And if you did, please consider subscribing, giving this video a like, and commenting below and telling me what your thoughts are on the video. And until then, I will catch you all later, and catch you all in the next video.